What's up, guys? Stripes here. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for stopping by to check out a brand new video. So I know it's been about 2 years since I sat down and recorded a video for you guys. I know I've been putting out DJ sets on my channel, as well as some music that I've produced, but it has been, like I said, 2 years since I've actually sat down in front of the camera and recorded something for YouTube, and it feels awesome, but also a little bit nerve-wracking to be back, because I think I've forgotten how to do this thing, but maybe not. We will see. But anyway, I will get into why it's been 2 years since I've sat down and recorded a video at the end, but I did just want to hop right into today's topic. So we're going to roll the intro, and then I will tell you exactly what we are talking about. And if you can't tell by the shirt, that may be a little bit of a hint. So I will see y'all right after the intro. All right, so what are we talking about today? I kind of alluded to it with my t-shirt, but 5 years ago, I started, or was supposed to start, a series here on YouTube about how to be a DJ, and specifically how to be a furry DJ, because in the fandom, it is something that is so huge at every single furry convention. Every night, at a convention, you have DJ sets. And so there are a lot of people who want to learn how to be a DJ. And so 5 years ago, I started this series and kind of sort of abandoned it. But again, like I said, at the end of the video, I'll get into why I haven't been recording videos as much. But what I didn't realize is that people are still watching those old videos. So that video that I made, which you can check out right over here after this video is done. Like I said, I made about 5 years ago talking about my history as a DJ and saying, hey, I want to give back to the community and teach y'all how to DJ. And that video is still getting views. It's up to about 730 views, which is awesome, especially for how small my channel is. But because of that video, somebody actually reached out to me and had some questions. And I was like, you know what? It is an awesome time to hop back in. So instead of just answering that question privately, I decided, you know what? Let's sit down and make a part 2, finally, after 5 years of how to be a furry DJ, because the questions that they asked are very helpful for you guys. And I wanted to, like I said, in that original video, give back to the community. So I don't know if this person wanted to be mentioned publicly, so I'm going to keep their name anonymous, but I will read the message that they sent me, and then we will answer the topics. One is a relatively easy topic to touch on. The second one is a bit more difficult to answer because I'm not as well versed in it, but I will give the best answer that I can. And also, before we get into that, if y'all notice, Stripes got a little bit of a glow up since y'all last saw him. This is now Stripes 1.5, so it's the same head that I made, but one of my very, very good friends over at Wild at Heart Fursuits completely transformed this boyo and made him look so much better. So anyway, now that little distraction's out of the way, let's get into this message. So like I said, this person reached out to me and they said, hey, I saw your video from a few years back about being a furry DJ, and it is something I'm hoping to try my hand at as a potential hobby. It's a bit of a struggle figuring out where to even get started, and I have a couple of questions and I'd like to ask about, if that's okay. And obviously I said yes, like, of course. Like I said in that first video, I want to give back to the community. So here are the two questions. So question one is, they said, the first thing I have a question about was regarding licensing, royalties, fees, and they said, I've got a hunch that since FurCon DJs typically aren't paid and the events are rather private, is probably not a big thing to worry about. So that is question one, which we will actually be covering second, because that is the slightly more complicated topic. Then there was question two. I recall from your video, you mentioned being big into EDM, trance, and other like progressive trance, house, all those genres of music. And that has been my biggest interest as of the last couple of years. A lot of the tracks I want to mix, I first heard from Above and Beyond's Angela Beats Group Therapy mixes. I've got a decent selection of tracks to pick from, and most of them have almost the same tempo, so I imagine I've got that working for me. What I lack is the equipment, software, or technical know-how, which I know, kind of a big thing, but I figured one thing at a time. And yes, one thing at a time, but we are definitely going to cover software, equipment, and a little bit of the technical know-how. And then, like I said, we're going to cover the topic about the royalties, because that is definitely a more in-the-weeds topic that, again, I am not super well-versed in, but I know enough to be able to educate you guys. So, let's start with equipment. It's not about the piece of software or the piece of gear, it's about how you use it. There are so many companies nowadays who are absolutely killing the game. Most people, when they think DJing, they think Pioneer, because Pioneer has kind of monopolized the industry in a way. But Denon is hitting back strong. So is Rain. And to a lesser extent, Newmark. Pioneer is just everywhere. Everywhere you turn. Like, if you're in a club environment, more than likely, it's going to be Pioneer gear. But again, it's about what works best for you, what you are most comfortable using. So don't let somebody sit here and tell you, hey, oh, you're not a real DJ because you're using X, Y, and Z equipment. Again, it's about how you use that piece of gear. But if you are looking at entry-level controllers, there's a couple of few things that I would suggest. Suggestion one. Make sure that you get a controller that has a built-in sound card. It will make your life so much easier. And in a little bit, I will show examples of what I mean with having a built-in sound card, not having a built-in sound card, and professional outputs, because a lot of these entry-level controllers don't have quote-unquote professional outputs, which are XLR outputs, but they do have RCA, and I'll talk about how you can get around not having XLRs on the output of your device. But we will get there. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of pieces of gear that could be really good for somebody who's just trying to break into the market, but doesn't have a lot of money to spend. We'll start with the Pioneer gear. So you have stuff like the Pioneer DDJ 400 if you're trying to use Rekordbox. You have the Pioneer DDJ SB3 if you are trying to use Serato. And then you also have the Groove 6. So all of those are controllers. You have to have a laptop to be able to use them. But they are great entry-level pieces of gear. All of them do have a built-in sound card. I, again, don't really recommend something that does not have a built-in sound card, but there are workarounds if you do choose to get something like the DDJ 200, which does not have a built-in sound card. Then from Denon, you have something like the Prime Go Plus that does have a built-in sound card, and the nice thing about that guy is that it does also have quote-unquote professional outputs with XLR outs, where the ones that I just listed from Pioneer are all only RCA output. Then you have something like the Rain 1, which again has professional outputs, and the super cool thing about that guy is that it does have motorized platters, so you get more of that tactile feel, and it's really cool to see the platters actually spin while you're DJing. And then you have the Mixstream and the Mixtrack Pro series from Newmark, and they have several pieces of gear in the line for Newmark. And actually, the very first piece of DJ equipment that I bought was the original version of the Newmark Mix Track Pro. As you can kind of sort of see behind me, I've definitely upgraded since then. But that was a long time coming. That was a long journey. I've been doing this for 18 years, and it took me until now to really, really invest in myself. And so that just goes to show you can get away with quote unquote entry level gear and still absolutely kill it. So yeah, again, don't get all stuck in that I have to have the biggest, fanciest, brightest, newest piece of gear. Sometimes older gear, as long as it is functioning, will get you through just fine. Then the other type of gear I wanted to talk about is all-in-one units. Now, these all-in-one units are going to be a little bit more expensive, but it gives you the ability to DJ with or without a laptop, whether you just want to utilize a thumb drive and go, or you want to hook it up to the laptop. These all-in-one units give you that ability, and that way, you can just pick up, go, and perform. From Pioneer DJ, you have the XDJ RR. That is definitely the most scaled back out of all of the all-in-ones, but it will get you through. Then you have something like the RX3, which is what I would recommend if you are entry level and you definitely want to have an all-in-one unit. From Pioneer, I definitely recommend the RX3. It is a bit pricey, but like I said, you are paying for essentially a computer that has decks built into it that is specialized for doing what you're trying to do. And then finally, you have the older XDJ XZ, which was then replaced by the XDJ AZ. Again, those are both very expensive pieces of gear, but they are still less expensive than doing a full CDJ setup. But again, this is about entry-level gear, not about stuff like this. We'll cover stuff like this later on in the series, as long as I can have time to sit down and actually record videos. But then from Denon, you have the SC Live 2 and the Prime 4 Plus. The SC Live 2 is going to be more similar to the RX3, and the Prime 4 Plus is going to be more similar to the AZ. You're talking about 2 decks versus 4 decks to mix on. And then I didn't really see any all-in-one piece of gear from Rain or from Newmark. Not saying that they're not out there, but as far as I know, the only ones who really have all-in-one standalone pieces of gear are Pioneer and Denon, depending on which is your cup of tea. So, as I was talking about the entry-level controllers, I was definitely harping on get something with a built-in sound card. Like 100% get something with a built-in sound card, even if it is RCA out. Now, if you do get a unit that is just RCA output, I would highly, highly, highly recommend getting a direct box, which I'll put a picture up right here. So the super cool thing about direct boxes is that you can then take that unbalanced RCA signal and then output it to a balanced XLR signal by using this little box here, which will then has circuitry inside of it that will then help to balance all that signal. And some of them even have like ground lift. There are so many type of direct boxes that you can get. Some of them are their own USB sound cards. Some of them are just plug and play. So it really depends on what you're trying to get out of it. But for ease of use, I would recommend a RCA to XLR direct box. So that way, if you do rock up to a show and you do need to play out to a larger system that is going to be using professional outputs, you can still use a piece of gear that you are comfortable with, that you know like the back of your hand because you spent time practicing and working on it, but that way you can still get out to the audience that you're trying to perform to. So highly, highly recommend getting a DI box. And like I said, I do have examples over here of my old gear that covers stuff that does have a built-in sound card, stuff that doesn't have a built-in sound card, stuff with XLRs and RCAs. so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about, and we will do close-ups in just a little bit. Now, the other big debate around DJs is software. And it is honestly a debate that is infuriating because, like I said earlier, it's not about the gear, it's not about the software, it's about how you use it. And everybody wants to act like if you use X piece of software, you're not a real DJ, you're not really a professional, or heck, if you use a laptop and DJ software at all, you're not a professional because only professional DJs play only on thumb drive, which is all just malarkey. Like, it infuriates me when those arguments come up. But, you know, that is a topic for another day. If you're just trying to get started, the main pieces of software out there are Virtual DJ, which is what I use. It's what I've been using for 18 years. Absolutely love it. I had a short stint where I used a different piece of software, but then it got sold to a different company, and then I moved back to Virtual DJ. Haven't looked back since. It is, I love it, but we will talk more about that in just a second because each of these things do the exact same thing, which is help you play music out to an audience. It's just owned by a different company, and some have better features than others, in my opinion. But so yeah, you have Virtual DJ, you have Rekordbox, you have Serato, and then you have kind of sort of the new kid on the block, which is the Engine DJ software. Now, normally once you pick a piece of software, you kind of stick with it because a lot of this equipment is unfortunately locked to a particular piece of software. So like, for instance, the DJJ 400 is more than likely going to be locked to Rekordbox. You would not be able to use that on Serato. And same thing with the SB3, where again, it's going to be locked to Serato and you won't be able to use it on Rekordbox, all because of that, the how they do their protocol. And that's why I personally absolutely love, and I will not sing the praises enough, love Virtual DJ. I can take any piece of gear, plug it in, and as long as somebody's done the MIDI mapping for it, I can play. Whether it is standalone gear like this, whether it is DJ controllers that have been discontinued by other manufacturers, the MIDI coding is there in Virtual DJ, and oh my gosh, I love it. There are so many different skins that you can choose from, so even if you think that the original skin doesn't look professional, guess what? There are so many different skins that you can choose from to make it look and feel the most comfortable to you. Now, obviously, the industry standard is Rekordbox, especially if you're playing on Pioneer gear. Fortunately, Virtual DJ does allow you to still export Rekordbox compatible USB sticks, so that if you are playing in standalone mode, that you have the ability to just do everything inside of Virtual DJ, except for the new Library Plus that they introduced, that Rekordbox introduced about a year ago. They introduced the new Library Plus feature to work with the Opus Quad, the 3000, the CDJ 3000s, and the AZ. And it's just a new library format for when you're playing in standalone. So you may still have to download Rekordbox if you are eventually planning to play on standalone USB, just so that you can analyze your music library with this new Library Plus feature. But if you're planning to just stay using laptop, then find a software that works for you, that you like, that you are comfortable with, and rock with it. A lot of these controllers will ship with a license for that software, whether it's Rekordbox or Serato. Most of them are not shipping with Virtual DJ licenses anymore, but the awesome part about Virtual DJ is that you can either buy it outright for, if I remember correctly, $300, or you pay $20 a month, and you have the full software unlocked to you to use with any piece of gear that you want. If you are just playing in your house and you don't have professional gear to hook up to it, then the awesome thing about Virtual DJ, it's completely free. And you can just download it and start mixing songs together and not even have to worry about paying anything, because the only time you really have to pay is if you are hooking it up to an external piece of gear. So again, I will never stop singing the praises of Virtual DJ. I've used Serato, I've used Rekordbox. There's just stuff that I don't like the way those two pieces of software handle. So like I said, for me, Virtual DJ is just where it's at. End of software rant. Now, going back to hardware for a moment, there are multiple ways and multiple places that you can get your hardware. You can buy direct from the manufacturer. You can order off of Amazon. There are musical supply stores, or if you want to buy it new, whether that is a place like Guitar Center. I know over in Colorado, there's a place called Mile High Music Supply, Music Grounds. There are so many different places that may sell DJ gear direct to you. If you don't feel like ordering it online, or if you want to get tactile with it beforehand, there are plenty of places where you can walk in and purchase gear. But the other thing I don't want y'all to be afraid of is buying used gear. As long as somebody took care of their gear, used gear is probably the best way to get into doing this, because the barrier for entry is definitely lower, because you're not paying that top tier premium price brand new, because you're buying something used. And you may even be able to get something that is a little bit nicer or has more features at a lower cost than a brand new piece of gear. So as long as it's from a reputable source, do not be afraid of used gear. Highly recommend Zounds. Zounds is amazing. They have used gear, they have open box gear, they have new gear. Same thing with ProStar Audio. They again have open box as well as used gear that you can buy for a slightly discounted price. Again, also look at Guitar Center. Obviously, with Guitar Center, you're going to want to check the quality of it. A lot of time if you go on their used gear section, it'll have a rating from good to great to excellent. So just check the rating, and if you can go to your local Guitar Center in person and actually get your hands on that piece of gear and see how well it was taken care of, 100% do not be afraid of used gear. So yeah, I think that wraps up the hardware, software portion of things. Like I said, for me, I have just gotten comfortable using Pioneer DJ gear and using that alongside Virtual DJ. Even though I have a complete CDJ setup over here, I still use Virtual DJ with it, because there's just some things that unfortunately Pioneer refuses to bring to standalone mode that I can only get with Virtual DJ. And also when it comes to recording my mixes, as some of the features that Virtual DJ has, I will continue to use this gear in HID mode, because that's what works for me, regardless of what people think about, using a laptop with gear like this. Like I said, we will take a closer look at the stuff I was talking about. And actually, let's just do that right now. So, right here behind me. So I have definitely talked about this guy before on the channel. This is a really weird piece of gear. And it is, it's weird. But this is the Stanton SCS3 system that I talked about in my intro to being a furry DJ video. And as you can see, it is a weird modular system, fully touch sensitive. It was weird, but as you notice, there we go. As you notice, there are no outputs on this guy at all for audio. So with this guy, you definitely have to get an external sound card in order to output your music. And again, that can be something like the DI box that we talked about, that is like USB to XLR or USB to RCA. You can get a DI box like that to output for these guys. And at the time, I got Oh my gosh, I remember I got the cheapest Behringer RCA to USB output that I could find, and it worked all right. It wasn't great. I definitely should have gotten a better DirectVox solution, but at the time I didn't know much. Like, I am very much a self-taught DJ, and so I learned through so much trial and error. And over the last, like I said, 18 years, I have learned so much. So this is an example of something that does not have a built-in sound card. Then, you've got here we go. Something like this guy. And now, I don't know if Hercules is still around. I think they are. This is another good entry-level brand, Hercules, that I didn't talk about in the other section. But you can see on this guy, you have all of your different I/O ports on the back. But what is missing is an XLR port. You do have quarter-inch ports here, and you've got the red and white RCA ports here, but you don't have XLR ports, which I'll show you on the next piece of gear. And so, again, for something like this guy, you could totally rock a show with this piece of kit, but you're not going to get out to a professional sound system with this guy without a DI box, which, again, I'll put an example up right over here. So then you've got something like this bad boy. This is the DDJ SX2. So this guy, 4-channel controller, you have to have a laptop, but if you look at the I/O ports on the back, you can see right over here are your XLR ports, and this is what you would output to a professional sound system with. You also have your RCA outs, and then you have quarter-inch outs for the booth. But these are what you're definitely looking for to get out to a professional system. So if you can find a piece of gear that has XLRs built into it already, I would 100% go with that. But if that is outside of your budget, then again, a DI box that goes from RCA to XLR is where it's gonna be at. Boop, 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 boop. Yay! Put this down without breaking it. Yeah. All right. And so then the last classification of gear, since we're on this topic, and like I said, I'll only touch on it briefly, is your complete standalone gear. So this is a XDJ 700, which is a CDJ style player. Most people know like the CDJ 3000s or the 1000 Mark IIs. Then this is the DJM 450 mixer, 2-channel mixer instead of like 4 or 6-channel. And then sneaked right up here is my favorite thing, which is the DDJ SB or SX2. No, DDJ XP2. There we go. DDJ XP2, because I like to do my my cues using the hotkey pads, because again, I got used to playing on a controller that had the hotkey pads, and these don't have that. So picked up this guy so I could have the best of both worlds. And so yeah, that pretty much wraps up our conversation about gear. Now into the weeds. Into the weeds we go. So licensing, royalties, copyright, all of that stuff. This is definitely this is definitely one of those topics that does not come up often for DJs, but it's a conversation that should be being had more often, because at the end of the day, we are artists, but most of the time we are playing other people's music. And, you know, as artists, especially in the furry fandom, we are all about giving credit to people where it is due and making sure they get that dollar bill for their hard work. So when it comes down to licensing and royalties, you have two different types of royalties. You've got a mechanical royalty, and then you have a performing royalty. We're going to touch on the performing royalties first, because that is the harder topic to cover, and then we'll get into the slightly easier topic of mechanical royalties. So most of the time, an event or venue will cover the performing royalties. Most of the time, these venues and events have a contract with the recording industry saying, hey, you know, we're going to make sure that the performance royalties are covered, so that way it doesn't have to come out of your pocket as a DJ. That is 99% of the time covered by the venue or the event, which is awesome, because they generally have a contract with PROs or performing rights organizations. The two big ones here in America are BMI, or Broadcast Music Inc., and ASCAP, or ASCAP, which is the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. So back in the day, like right when smartphones first started coming out and like Shazam was coming out, the way that, you know, you would get royalties is that someone would physically go to the club and have a recording device to be able to report back to these different companies being like, hey, you know, this is the music that got played. We need to make sure that X artist gets X amount of money for the royalties of this song being played. And that's why a lot of the time, bars and venues will have specific canned music that they have to play unless they have a live performance going on, because they've already paid the royalties for that particular music. And it's usually like a package deal, and it's a bunch of songs that are like, here you go, you can use these, you can play these out while people are sitting in your bar, unless you have a live performer. And again, when you have a live performer, they have that contract to be like, hey, you know, this is what got played, or at least that's how it's supposed to work. You know, I am not on that side of the industry, so I don't really know whether or not venues are doing that or if events are doing that, but I believe the best in people, and so I have to imagine that these venues are doing stuff properly. So when it comes to performing royalties, you don't have to worry about that. That is all on the venue, all on the event. But if you want to make 100% sure that the artists are getting their fair cut of what you played, I recommend always recording your mix. Another thing that I love about virtual DJ is when you record a mix, it will also spit out a cue sheet alongside of that showed you, hey, you played this song by this artist at this exact timestamp, which is super helpful for when you are done. So that way you can either manually submit that set list to BMI or ASCAP, or you could do what I do and what I recommend, which is using Mixcloud. So after your event, you can upload your set to Mixcloud with that cue sheet, and then Mixcloud handles making sure that the artists get their cut of what you played. So if you are really serious about making sure that artists get their cut of the royalties, I 100% recommend recording your set, taking that cue sheet, and uploading it to Mixcloud after you're done performing, because then you can be sure that the artists are getting their cut, because that is Mixcloud's entire business model. They are a DJ streaming service made by DJs for DJs. So I cannot recommend Mixcloud enough. Absolutely love it. And the other amazing part is that they also have a feature where if you want to live stream there, you can as well, and then you don't have to worry about all the crazy copyright stuff like you have to do on YouTube and Twitch and all these other places, because again, Mixcloud has this agreement to make sure that the artists get their cut. So that covers your performing royalties. But what about the mechanical royalties? So when it comes down to mechanical royalties, that is all about you buying your music. Like, yes, I know it can get expensive, but either buy or stream your music. If you are in a super, super pinch, which I have done before, if you're in a pinch and you literally cannot find the remix anywhere else, a YouTube rip is kind of sort of serviceable, but it is not recommended at all. Start, saving up and, maybe spending about 15, 20 bucks a month buying your music. There are so many places that you can purchase from nowadays. You've got places like Beatport, Bandcamp, SoundCloud. There's like Apple Music, YouTube Music. There are so many different places that you can actually purchase your music and make sure that the artist get their cut because you bought their stuff. And that is the best way that you can support artists, because as we'll talk about the second way here in a second, which is streaming, artists do not get that much money off of streams unless they are getting millions and millions and millions of plays. But that is a great segue into streaming services. A lot of these standalone controllers as well as DJ softwares are really, really embracing this new age of streaming. Personally, I like having my music downloaded. I like having, physical access to that media, and not relying on some web-based service because CloudStrike. That's all I'm going to say. If you know, you know. But, having to always rely on some online source, whether that is like a Dropbox link or a Google Drive link or a Spotify, Apple Music, like, yes, these softwares are embracing that tech. And it is super cool, but there's also a lot of limitations with streaming. Yes, for sure, the artists are getting their cut of that stream because you are streaming directly off of these streaming services. But again, like I just covered, they have to get millions and millions of streams in order to, make a profit. But also, secondly, you can't record your mix. A lot of these softwares that have agreements with these streaming services, you can't record your mixes. And it is really hard to learn and grow as a DJ if you can't go back and listen to your mixes afterwards. So again, if you're relying on streaming services, it is a great way of getting into it without having to spend too much money, because most people are signed up for a subscription streaming service anyway. But I will say, for me, streaming is not it. But if it's your thing, again, the artist will get a cut because you are streaming their music. Now, a lot of the popular streaming services out there, you have SoundCloud, obviously. Apple Music has now started to take over in the DJ space. Beatport, then, because Beatport you can buy or stream. Tidal is the really big one. And then also BeatSource is another really, really big one for when it comes to streaming music. Now, there are two more ways that you can also get music and make sure that the artist gets paid. That is, sometimes if you have access to a recording artist, just ask them directly. Hey, can I have a copy of this track? Offer to pay them for it, whatever the market rate is. Or sometimes they'll just give it to you for free because they want the exposure and they want the publicity, or it's some unreleased track. So asking an artist directly is also a great place to get music and make sure that an artist gets credit. And last and certainly not least, but probably the most difficult out of all of it, but unfortunately it's where the industry is going, is producing your own music. As y'all have seen on the channel, I have been producing my own remixes lately, and it has been a crazy, crazy learning experience. I don't think I will ever be to the level of my wife and roommate who are producing their own original tracks. For me, remixes, I think, are the extent of what I'm going to be able to do. But by producing your own music, then if you are able to market that, then you're also going to be able to get paid for that. So instead of you paying out another artist, then other artists are going to be paying you for your music. So, if you are worried about royalties and all of that, buy your music or create your own music, or talk to other artists about where to, about playing their music. I definitely see that Shaq or DJ Diesel, he used to have an email campaign where you could just send him your tracks and he would play them, and he's been playing in some of the biggest clubs. So, grassroots marketing definitely can work sometimes. So, yeah, that covers topics about equipment and software and licensing. But last, and certainly not least, is the technical know-how. The technical know-how comes with practice, and did I say practice? The more you practice, the better you will get. Like, get your entry-level controller, get that software that works for you. Like I said, a lot of these controllers either ship with that software, or you can, go the route that I did and go with Virtual DJ, but then practice. And you can teach yourself like I did, but nowadays there is so many wonderful online resources. The two that I highly recommend are Digital DJ Tips and Crossfader, two phenomenal YouTube channels that have amazing tutorials that teach you how to not only DJ, but I know that Crossfader also has courses on specific pieces of hardware. So, like, let's say that you did buy a DDJ 400 and you have no clue how to use it. The awesome part is Crossfader has a course on how to use that exact piece of hardware. So, the resources are pretty much limitless nowadays, and hopefully I'll be able to have time to continue this series to teach you from my perspective. That way you have another resource to learn from. And that's the whole reason I wanted to do this series in the first place, was to give back to the community, to teach the knowledge that I have been honing and gaining for the last 18 years. So, yeah. I hope that answers your question, viewer who reached out to me, who I'm going to keep anonymous because, again, I don't know whether or not you want it to be publicly mentioned. But I hope that answers your questions, but also I hope that helps other people who have the same or similar questions. So, yeah. Woohoo! Now that I'm done covering the main topic, let's get into where I have been for the last 2 years. Yeah, it has been, like I said, 2 years since I sat down and made a video. I think the last video I actually sat down and produced outside of DJ stuff was my Furry review of Trick or Treat. Yeah. Yep, nope, that was the last video I sat down and recorded. And I will say, life has been absolutely insane since then. I don't know if I've mentioned it here on the channel, but I did start a new job right around 3 years ago. Started a new job that has been taking up a bunch of my time, but it is in my field, which is production. Like I as y'all see, whether it's DJing, photography, videography, production is where my heart is at, and I am super fortunate and super blessed to have been able to find a job in my area working for a production company. So I have learned so much. Like, I already had a lot of knowledge about the industry because I'd already been working in it for a while. But, when I was in the industry and the people that I was working with, they were using old school tech. And so to step back into the industry with all the new school tech and getting to learn it all has been so much fun, but also it has been really time consuming because, it's just the nature of the beast. Production never sleeps. And tech is constantly changing, so I'm constantly learning, but it has made me a better videographer. It's made me a better DJ, but it has also made me a better tech. So, shout out, massive shout out to every tech who runs a furry convention. Like, the people who are running the dances, like, I always shouted y'all out before, and I've been in the trenches with you, but now extra much so, I'm in the trenches with y'all, and like, give so much love and appreciation to your tech people when you go to concerts and when you go to plays. Like, the amount that goes into running a production, but also the amount that goes into installing gear that's going to live there professionally. It's so much more than you think. But then on top of that, I have been grinding with my side hustles. As I alluded to, I did finally upgrade my DJ gear. And I've also been doing some more film projects on the side. So, like, my side hustle has been taking off. I know that over the last 3 years, I've gotten to DJ Pride in DC 3 years in a row. This year was World Pride. It was absolutely amazing. I've been DJing in nightclubs all up and down the East Coast. So, like, I've played at nightclubs in Pittsburgh, regularly playing in DC. Definitely still doing the convention circuit. So I played in, I think the last convention y'all saw me play was Furry, which I did post here on the channel as well. So, like I said, the DJ thing has been taking off. I've been working on, as again, y'all know, I'm an avid roller skater. I did the skate unboxing earlier on this channel. And so I've been trying to work something out with my local roller skating rink, and we had our first furry skate night, which it was supposed to be a skate rave, but then it turned into an impromptu fur meet, but it was awesome. So I'm trying to work something out there. So again, my side hustle, as well as my main job, has just been taking up so much of my time. But I still love you guys, and I'm still trying to find time to sit down and produce videos. So, all of that being said, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, because my upload schedule is so sporadic. I always say this. Hopefully, I'll be able to get into a routine and consistency, but if I don't, if you hit that subscribe button with the notification bell, when I sporadically upload, you'll be notified. And also, if you found this video informative and helpful, hit the like button down below, and 100%, please leave a comment, because I do read them, and when I have the opportunity to, I do respond to them, and it absolutely means the world to me. I'm getting closer and closer to finally hitting 1,000 subs. Like, I know my channel's been around for like 8-10 years, and I still haven't hit 1,000 subs. It is definitely a goal of mine to try to at least hit that first 1,000, if not more. But, you know, I don't upload consistently, so, you know, there's that. But, you know, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try, because I love you guys, and, you know, being asked a question about a video I made 5 years ago does show me that people are watching, people are listening, and people value my unique opinion on stuff. So, as people ask questions, or if y'all definitely want more of this DJ series, whether it is like mixing tutorials or showing off, you know, Serato versus virtual DJ versus record box, or, you know, how the different pieces of equipment work, or just breakdowns of the equipment, let me know. Let me know down in the comments below. And definitely, if you want more fur-fied reviews, let me know, because I'm a movie buff. I absolutely love reviewing movies from both a technical standpoint as well as from a viewer standpoint. And my physical collection of DVDs has just continued to grow over the years. And so I'd love to sit down and do more film reviews about stuff that I am passionate about. So, yeah. You know, let me know what you want to see from me, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Stripes is out. Keep on rocking on and being awesome. Peace.